What's up guys, Lone Noob here, giving you some commentary on, well, you know what, not really even some commentary, more of a review, because I saw another goddamn movie. Before I get to that, this is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, this is kind of just me showing off my new team. Well, it's old, I've switched it since I recorded these, but, Wesker, Frank West, Deadpool, my three favorite characters in the game, and actually works well on the team, so enjoy. Anyway, I saw fucking Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and I swear to fucking God, they should have renamed the movie Tom Cruise Runs Away from Things. Holy fuck, he runs away from a lot of things. He runs away from a Kremlin explosion, he runs away from a sandstorm, he runs away to, like, get away from the police, he runs away from a whole bunch of shit, he runs away from his problems, he runs away from the fact he's a fucking midget. Oh my God, he just runs away from all of this shit. So anyway, the movie starts, and I went there on like a Wednesday afternoon with one of my friends, because he was all like, hey, let's go watch a movie. And I was like, alright, you talk like a fucking retarded Polish man. So we went to see the movie. It was us two, and literally one other person in the theater, and he was like a 90-year-old man who clearly had just gotten out of the retirement home and realized that his family didn't love him, so he thought he'd catch a movie. So we were watching this shit, and it starts with this dude who's a spy, and he's all like, I got me some papers, I'm gonna go deliver these papers, and then this woman comes up and she's like, no you don't, and then she fucking shoots him in the chest, and then she literally dry humps him a bit, steals the papers, and walks away. And that scene has no fucking previous, like, prerequisites whatsoever. So later, we see Tom Cruise being Tom Cruise in a Russian jail, and he's like throwing this rock against the wall, and he's all like singing to himself. He's like, Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise crazy, just we got. And then all of a sudden, Simon Pegg, who's delightfully British, and his accent is much better than the one I am using right now, but I'm using it for comedic effect. So the point is, I don't even know what accent that was. The point is, Simon Pegg's all like, we need to get Tom Cruise out of jail so that we can make more money off the Mission Impossible franchise. So they bust him out, and he's about to leave after doing some really unnecessary acrobatics, but then he's all like, hey, here's a whirly signal, let me in this jail cell. And Simon Pegg's like, no, you fucking idiot, and he's like, do it, and he's like, okay. So then he busts out some other dude who turns out to be a Russian, and when they're like rescuing all the people, he's like, Sergey? Are you not Sergey? And Tom Cruise is like, shut the fuck up, homeless man. And he's like, Sergey, are you not Russian? And then, like, they tranquilize him and put him in a van, and obviously he's either being raped, molested, or tortured, because America. So, you know, shit happens, and then later, they're all like, by the way, the Russians think that we blew up their White House, so everyone hates us. So you gotta stop them. But we're not going to let you stop them, but you're going to stop them. So, we're doing Ghost Protocol, which means you don't exist, and this whole thing is secret, and by the way, I'm going to die now. So then the Vice Secretary President guy gets shot in the fucking face, and his fucking data analysis survives the explosion somehow, and a whole bunch of shit happens. Then they're all like, by the way, we need to orchestrate this meeting with these two guys who have Russian nuclear secrets. And that part was pretty neat, because they have Tom Cruise rappelling down the world's tallest building. But he gets to the window, and they're all like, your line's not long enough. And he literally goes, no shit. And I had a pretty nice laugh. So Tom Cruise gets hurt doing a lot of really stupid stunts that obviously have the stunt double. And then eventually they figure out that Soviet Guyovich, the major Russian guy, is the one with all the nuclear secrets, and they have to stop him. And he goes into a warehouse and he launches some nukes, and they're all like, well shit, we can't stop these nukes unless we get the Stop the Nukes launch code from the briefcase that can stop the nukes. So they go into the place, and a whole bunch of stuff happens, like a party where the hot chick has sex with a guy but she doesn't, and Tom Cruise just overall smiles even bigger somehow, and Simon Pegg says things, and Simon Pegg grows a third arm. It's pretty neat. And then fucking later, they finally decide that they're gonna stop the fucking nuclear scientist Russian dude, and it takes place in a car park that's like the coolest fucking car park I've ever seen. Like, you remember those Hot Wheels cars where you had the crane and you can get the cars out of the fucking like giant erector set? That's basically what it was, except on a real-life scale, and it was awesome. And then Tom Cruise goes in there, and everyone else does some pretty useless shit, like wrestling on the ground or using robots. Oh, there was a robot that had magnets in it, and some guy levitated, and it was neat, but it looked fucking stupid. So anyway, Tom Cruise goes in, and he starts fighting the guy, and they're on the car park, and a car starts, like, moving at them, and Tom Cruise starts running away from it, surprise, surprise, and he hurts his ankle, but the Russian guy's like, I'm just fine, even though I've sustained far worse injuries than you have over the course of this movie. So, eventually, they're, like, fighting over the briefcase, and, like, the Russian guy grabs it, and he goes, fuck America, I hate Big Macs. And Tom Cruise is like, no! And then the Russian guy, for completely unknown reasons, jumps into the fucking, like, crater in the car park. Like, he jumps off the top floor, and he just smashes on a car, and it looks fucking hilarious because he ragdolls. But it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me, because why didn't he just throw the briefcase? Why did he have to kill himself with it? So then Tom Cruise gets into a nice Audi 2007 Jaguar Prius, and he falls off of a goddamn ledge. And he lands in the fucking place where the other guy did, and he's all like, mission accomplished, and then he slams his hand on the button, and it doesn't work, because it turns out that fucking Simon Pegg had to spew some more technical babble, and the other guy had to turn the power on, and the lady had to not get shot. So then they do all that, and then it works, and they give him some shit because he said mission accomplished, and then they meet the original black guy from Mission Impossible, who's probably the first minority who shows up in the actual movie in the last scene. Then Tom Cruise cries over his wife, and I walked away saying, okay, that was better than I thought, but that was not worth my money. That's the end of this video. I'm gonna go tickle my ancestors. See ya! Oh, and subscribe for pancakes.